The first Thanksgiving was the Mayflower left from Plymouth, and they were headed to an area that they named Plymouth in September of 1620. There were 102 passengers. They were very, very crowded because, as I remember, and Pastor Wayne mentioned too, that there were going to be other better transportation, and they had problems, and so they crammed on. So these folks are really crammed on a very small ship. They were crammed that way for 66 days. I don't know if you've ever been on an ocean ship, but chances are somebody got sick. And in a very small ship, somebody being sick makes everybody sick. And it was that way for 66 days. When they landed near what now is Cape Cod, and that was a long way north of where they intended to land. Right. Now here's why that's important. The farther you go up the East Coast, what happens to the weather?
Colder.
It's colder. If you go on and on and on, you end up in Maine, and it's really cold. If you went farther and farther and farther south, you'd be in Florida, and it would have been really warm. So it's consequential where they landed, that they landed north of where they intended to be. When they got there, of course, it's a dead of winter. They left in September, so September's finished, October's finished, so this is in November. When they would have landed, that's where 66 days would have been. And the weather's bad. The weather's so bad they stayed on the ship. Nearly all of them stayed on the ship for another 30 days. Now the conditions are so bad that they're suffering from all kinds of things. Diseases, difficulties. And at the end of that 30 days, they had lost half of the people who were coming, and they lost half of the crew. Now, if you're a captain with a cruise ship and you lose half your crew, and you're across the ocean from home, everybody's got trouble. The people who came have got trouble. The captain and the people in the ship, everybody's in trouble now. They moved a little bit. And they moved down a little bit, and when they came ashore, it was March. And I can't read my own writing. When they came ashore, the most amazing thing happened. Now think about this. They had come, they landed way farther north. They stayed 30 days. Half of them died. Now they moved 30 days a little bit farther south, and they came ashore. And can you imagine that God had somebody there to greet them? Mm-hmm. Years ago, we were in Mexico. And the only time I ever had all the food in the pickup truck was this one time. Normally, my truck was just lemonade. A 3/4 ton truck loaded with lemonade. This time I had the main course. I had the food. Some of the people in our party had a need. And so I sent everybody else across the border, and I stopped at Walmart, which was on the way, and I got whatever they needed, stomach, whatever it was, I got it. And then I came back, and I know where they're going to meet because we've been there many times. This time I get to the border, and I get a red light. We always prayed for green lights. I got a red light. Red light means stop, pull your vehicle over, we're going to check you out. We want to make sure everything's okay. When I get the red light, I'm by myself now. When I get that red light, the guy goes back and he sees all these coolers, these big coolers. My bed is just full of coolers. And he opens it up. And all the hot food is in there. When he does, the hot steam comes out, and he decides that all that food is probably bad, and that they will not allow it to go across the border. We've already announced to a whole community that we're going to be feeding the whole town. And I found out later that people are already lined up for the food at the time when I'm at the border. And they decided they won't allow any food to go across. The guys there, the border guards, they speak to me very plainly and very straight. This is not going across here, and don't you try to take it at any other border crossing. I'm by myself. I'm thinking, Lord, I've got to try another border crossing. I don't have any choice. And so I call Sister Parker, who's not with the group. She's sick that day. I call Sister Parker, and I try to get the directions to where we're going. And Sister Parker is telling me many things, and I cannot make any sense out of any directions. And finally, after I tried and tried and tried and tried, finally I said, thank you, Sister Parker. God bless you. The Lord will make the way. And I hang up the phone. Now the people over here don't know that I'm not coming. They're waiting for me. I'm assuming Sister Parker, because I didn't think of that till I was telling the story. So evidently Sister Parker called and had you guys all go. Some of the people who were in here were part of that mission team. The only place I knew to go was the Phar Bridge, P-H-A-R-R. It's not Far Away Bridge. It's the name of a town. The guy just told me, and don't you try to take this to any other crossing. And the crossing that you're going to take it to is going to be the Phar crossing. That's where the trucks and things go through. The freight from Florida, from Mexico go through. Now, I know that the place that we're feeding people, I know that if I went through the Phar Bridge, I know that it's out there somewhere, but I don't have any idea where. And I can't get anybody on the phone who will help me. In those days, now I think some of the phone service, you could have reached somebody, but in those days, I'm flying alone. I have no way to do it. And so I'm praying most severely and intensely. I remember that the first turn when you come from the Phar Bridge, it makes a fork. And if you go one way, it's a long way before you can ever change. And if you go the other way, it's a long way before you can ever change. And I'm just praying like everything. I'm talking about going someplace and I need help. And when I'm praying as hard as I know how to pray, I'm trusting as hard as I know to try. I got a green light. So that let me cross the bridge. I came over the bridge and I'm coming down, and now I'm coming to that turn. And I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't know if it's right. I don't know if it's left. And even if I knew if it was right or left, I wouldn't know how to get to that town. And I can't think of the name of the town where we're going to. I can't remember the name of the town yet. And just as I'm in the place where I've got to make a fork, I look and there's a man. There's a man to meet me. He's standing on the side of the road. And he's standing there and he's waving to me. He's waving to me. And I pull over right in that crook of the fork where I didn't have to make a choice. I pulled up to him. And his name is Marco. And Marco has been in the hot sun. And Marco says, brother, where have you been? I said, Marco, what are you doing here? We had just talked the day before and said, Marco, I'll meet you over here. That was where Marco and I had arranged to meet, where everybody else was going. But Marco's here. And I said, Marco, what are you doing here? He said, I got up this morning, brother. I was praying for you, and the Lord told me you were going to need help today. And I was to come over here and stand. And I said, Marco, I can't tell you how thrilled and excited I am. He said, brother, where have you been? I've been here an hour and a half in the sun. I said, Marco, I'm sorry. Well, I got in, and Marco took me right there.